Hello everyone, thanks for joining us this evening for this short webinar on pH balancing, where we will cover the basics of alkalizing and pH balancing and answer all of your questions. My name is Elizabeth Clemens from Live Blood London, where we practice live blood analysis and good health principles, including pH balancing. We will be recording this webinar, so you don't have to write anything down. We'll be sending you a copy of all the links and all the information covered right after the webinar. You should find a control panel where you can type in questions. I'll give you a minute to locate it. If you'd like to type something in the box to say that you found it okay, I'll give you a minute to do that. It's called the questions box, and also you'll find a button that will enable you to see the webinar in full screen, which should be the fourth button down. So is everybody okay with that? Yep, good. Okay, right, so let's get started. Today we are covering some aspects of biochemistry and why we need to get balanced, as well as a plan to get you started. It is a huge subject, and this is really just an introduction. I'm not going to cover the acid-alkaline diet, as you can find information on that everywhere. However, if you do want any help with it, please do email me. This is the email address here. So, I'll happily send you that information. And also, if you come up with any questions after the webinar, put them into an email and send them to me. So that's it. Let's get started. The pH balance of the human bloodstream is recognized by all medical physiology texts as one of the most important biochemical balances in all of human chemistry. This is how important pH balancing is. So a simple analogy is that the human body is approximately 70% fluid, and this is made up of blood, lymph, interstitial fluids, as well as many other bodily fluids. Now you can compare this to a fish tank. If we don't keep the pH balance of the fish tank regulated, we start to get mould, fungus and bacteria, overgrowth, all those black slimy things on the side of the fish tank. Now it's the same with our bodily fluid. And what is pH? Well, pH stands for potential hydrogen, which measures the degree of concentration of hydrogen ions in a substance or solution. It is measured on a logarithmic scale of 0 to 14. Higher numbers mean more alkaline, lower numbers more acidic. The middle, 7, is neutral. Now this is a logarithmic scale, and that means that 7 being neutral, if your acid or your pH reading is 6, that means you are 10 times more acidic than a reading of 7. If your reading is 5, that means you are 100 times more acidic than a reading of 7 and 10 times more acidic of a reading of 6. And it continues on. So you can see how powerful that can be. The pH of our body is also very important. It controls the speed of our body's chemical reactions, enzyme activity, and the speed that electricity moves through our body. When the body becomes acidic, microforms such as anaerobic bacteria, yeast and fungus proliferate, as we saw in the fish tank analogy. Now, these pathogens and microforms also create acidifying toxins, which create even more acidity. This then becomes a vicious circle leading to disease. A car battery is acid. We want it to be hot and ready and fast. Whereas a torch battery is alkaline. We need it to be cool and burn out long and slowly. If we become too acidic, we become like that car, hot and fast, overly stressed, quick to anger, burned out, exhausted. Sound familiar? And if we get too alkaline, we can also become too laid back with foggy thinking. What we eat and drink will impact our body's pH level, which then controls the activity of every metabolic function happening in our body. this is so important. Now, 100 years or so ago, this was much less of a problem because we may have had other problems, but we ate a much more natural diet. We only ate foods that were available locally and in season. Now our foods are manufactured, our soil is full of chemicals and depleted of minerals, our diet has become very acidic, and all the chemicals, pesticides, steroids and antibiotics in our foods and life in general have added fuel to this fire. We've got ready-made meals, fast foods, frozen foods, canned foods, tin foods, processed foods, salt, sugar, additives, preservatives, colours and chemicals, and this has become the norm. Now, pH is behind our intracellular activity as well as the body's ability to utilize enzymes, vitamins and minerals. That is why pH is one of the first things to be looked at if you are experiencing imbalance in your body in any way. And since our pH level is a direct result of what we eat and drink, to address the imbalance we need to look at what we have been eating or drinking that has impacted our pH. Dr. Robert Young, well-known author of the pH Miracle Diet, writes about one of his most well-known discoveries of the cause of obesity and the overweight. He has shown that fat is actually an over-acidification problem. What does that mean? Well, the body creates fat cells to carry acids away from your vital organs. So these acids literally don't choke your organs to death. So fat is saving your life. Fat is actually a response from the body to an alarming over-acidic condition. So how do you lose weight? Alkalize and exercise. We'll show you how to alkalize. So the vicious circle, mineral assimilation, is affected by pH, as we discussed earlier. Our digestive system and what we feed our body impacts our pH and determines whether we have dynamically good health or imbalance and disease. Back to those minerals. Minerals have different pH levels at which they can be assimilated into the body. Minerals on the lower end of the atomic scale can be assimilated in a wider pH range, and minerals higher up on the scale require a narrower pH range in order to be assimilated by the body. And what this means is that sodium and magnesium have a wide pH assimilation range, but this narrows somewhat for calcium and potassium. The range narrows more for manganese and iron, more for zinc and copper, and even more for iodine. Now, mineral deficiency relates to the quantity of life energy in our bodies, but more about the iodine. As minerals have different pH levels at which they can be assimilated into the body, this includes iodine, which is one of the most important minerals for the proper functioning of the thyroid. Now, malfunctioning thyroids have been connected to arthritis, heart attacks, diabetes, cancer, depression, weight gain, fatigue, and more. Now, how many people do you know with thyroid problems? How many people do you know with arthritis, heart attacks, diabetes, cancer, depression, weight gain, fatigue, and more, themselves or in their family? Are you beginning to get the picture? So pH, blood and disease. The human blood stays in a very narrow range of 7.3 to 7.4. Below or above this means symptoms and disease, and going out of this range leads to death. The blood will do anything to maintain its pH balance, including leaching minerals from the bones. This is a huge cause of osteoporosis. When pH goes out of balance, microbial forms in the blood can change shape, mutate, and grow. And when pH goes off, enzymes that are constructive can become destructive. When pH goes off, oxygen delivery to the cells suffers. And research now shows that oxygen delivery to the cells is a major factor in most degenerative conditions and cancer growth. In fact, research has shown that cancer cells thrive in acidic environments but perish in alkaline environments. It's all about the internal environment. Bacteria and disease is a consequence of a polluted environment, just as rats and vermin appear when rubbish is dumped because they wish to feed off it. Now, bacteria exist all around us, yet we don't get sick all the time because we do have immune systems that recognize these organisms and remove them from the body. But when the body becomes acidic or toxic, similar to a rubbish dump, The immune system is compromised. The body then becomes a fertile soil for bacteria, yeast and mould, and hence disease. Now about the heart. If the pH of the blood goes more acid, fatty acids begin to stick to the walls of the arteries, resulting in heart disease. A chronically over-acidic pH corrodes body tissue, slowly eating into the 60,000 miles of veins and arteries like acid eating into marble. If left unchecked, it will interrupt all cellular activities and functions, from the beating of your heart to the neural firing of your brain. In summary, over-acidification interferes with life itself, leading to all sickness and disease. Now, these basic principles of biochemistry have been taught to every medical school student. You'd think that modern medicine would look at these principles of biochemistry and attempt to bring people back into balance and health through the food they eat. Unfortunately, that is not happening. The founder of medicine, Hippocrates, said, "Let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food." Now we know what he meant. So how do we test our pH levels and how do we rebalance them? What do we need to do? An alkaline diet based on the new biology by Dr. Robert O. Young, most simply stated, is that the over-acidification of the body is the single underlying cause of all disease. In contrast, the old biology, based on the work of Louis Pasteur in the late 1800s, stems from the idea that disease comes from germs which invade the body from the outside. This has shown to be erroneous. Dr. Young and many of Louis Pasteur's fellow microbiologists and biochemists discovered long ago that when the body is in healthy alkaline balance, germs find it very difficult to get a foothold, just the same as the pH-balanced fish tank or swimming pool, which doesn't go green and then black with fungal growth. Well, our body is the same. So, the acid-alkaline saliva and urine test. What you need to do first, number one, upon waking, test your saliva with a pH test paper. When you get out of the bed, wet the end of a pH test strip with your saliva. I don't suggest putting it onto your tongue because we don't know what chemicals are in there. But if you can just produce a little bit of spit and dip that pH test strip into that strip, you'll be able to get your reading. It's all done by colour. Note the colour change and write down the pH number. Do this before brushing your teeth, drinking, smoking, or even thinking of eating any food. Now, the optimum saliva pH should be around 7.2. You don't have to remember all of this. I'll send you all this information. 2. Next, test your first urine in the morning. This is the urine that has been stored in your bladder during the night and is ready to be eliminated when you get up. This will usually be more acidic because you are actually getting rid of acids stored up during the night. You need to urinate on a strip of pH test paper, note the colour change and write down the pH number. The first urine should run optimally between a pH of 6.8 to 7.2. If your first urine pH is lower than 6.8, you are deficient in alkaline buffers. Need to move to a more alkaline diet rich in fresh green vegetables and fruits. If your first urine pH is higher than 7.2, your alkaline buffers are sufficient to neutralize the acidic foods and drinks you ingested the day before. To balance the pH of the urine, you need to move away from acidic foods and drinks and begin ingesting liberal amounts of electron-rich green vegetables, low sugar fruits, and healthy polyunsaturated fats and green supplements, such as chlorella. More about that later. Number 3, next, test your second morning urine before eating any food. This number should be the pH of your second urine after you have eliminated the acid load from the day before with your first urine. The acid should be gone the second time you go to the bathroom, so your urine pH should be ideally 7.2 or higher. If the pH is lower than 6.8, then you are in a state of latent tissue acidosis and you are deficient of alkaline buffers such as bicarbonate, sodium, potassium, magnesium and calcium. The lower pH is also indicative of a diet high in protein and an increase in acids from proteins, including nitric, sulfuric, phosphoric, and uric acids. So if you are getting that reading, eliminate from the diet proteins from beef, chicken, turkey, pork, and fish to normalize your pH at 7.2. And eat liberal amounts of green foods, green drinks, healthy polyunsaturated fats, and chlorella supplements. For breakfast, have a fresh juice, green drink, an alkaline breakfast, or drink some fresh almond milk. Wait 15 minutes and then check your urine and saliva again. Write these pH numbers down also. The pH numbers will go up from the first and second morning urine and saliva if you have sufficient alkaline reserves to buffer acids. If you do not, then the pH numbers will show very little change or even go down from the early morning pH numbers. And finally, number 5, make sure you check your urine and saliva pH between meals, i.e. between breakfast and lunch and between lunch and dinner. The pH should always be between 7.2 to 8.4 right after meals, and between 6.8 to 7.2 a couple of hours after meals. Now these 5 tests show the following: the efficiency of the digestive system to deal with what you ate the day before, and these numbers will change from day to day if you are living and eating an acidic diet, and you will see the results of changing your diet. If you change to eating more alkaline foods, you'll see the pH of the urine and saliva become more constant and balanced at a pH of 7.2 or even higher. You will be able to observe the alkalizing effect of adding a juicing and or green supplement to your diet as well. You will see how well you treat yourself in general, how strong the salivary glands, stomach, pancreas, gallbladder and liver are in dealing with this excess acidity. This number shows the overall state of your health, the condition of the alkaline reserve of your body, which reflects the diet you have been eating over the last months and years. The pH number stays rather constant and will only change after some work has been done in alkalizing and energizing the body. The pH of your saliva and urine after you eat or drink gives you an indication of your alkaline mineral reserves and your body's ability to deal with the acid residues created from the digestion of that food or drink. It is normal for your pH number to increase after you eat or drink and not stay static or decrease. This once again indicates your inability to deal with acid, the deficiency of alkaline reserves and the buildup of latent tissue acidosis. So even if you think of a food like an avocado or a lemon, the pH of your saliva should increase by a whole point. This simple test indicates you have sufficient alkaline reserve minerals to pull into your digestive system to begin the digestive and alkaline buffering process. So the ideal urine and saliva pH pattern is 7.2 on awakening, 6.8 to 7.2 before eating, and 7.2 to 8.5 following any alkaline meal or drink. A simple test can be done at most any time of the day by eating a few almonds. This will check the adequacy of the alkaline reserve of the body. When a healthy person with adequate alkaline reserves eats a few almonds, the saliva pH almost immediately goes up to a pH of 8.4. The more acidic the food that is eaten, the more rapid the response of the alkaline reserve, and the higher the saliva pH should be following a meal. So, monitoring your saliva and urine pH puts the responsibility of caring for your health back into your hands. Measuring the saliva and urine pH guides your therapy and shows you how living, eating and drinking determines the quality and quantity of your life. You should monitor your saliva and urine each day for at least 12 weeks or until you establish your balanced pH at 7.2. Once you have established a balance pH at 7.2, you can reduce the number of tests to once a day or even 2 or 3 times a week. So what do you do to balance your pH? Alkalizing your body does not have to take a radical change to your eating habits. The most important thing is that you take steps to add highly alkaline foods into your diet. Green vegetables are the most highly alkaline foods on the planet, as are green juices. If you're going to have a steak for dinner, which is a highly acid-forming food, then be sure to at least start off your meal with a big salad, no cheese and light dressing, and have some steamed or fresh veggies as a side dish instead of that baked potato, which is also acid forming. Now this will help your body to counteract the acid byproducts with healthy alkaline byproducts. Another tip is to supercharge your body with an alkalizing drink. I use Skip Archimedes chlorella and other supplements along with juicing. For me, these are the best food supplements on the planet. I'm going to send you this link to Skip Archimedes supplements. He makes chlorella in a tablet form, so you can take your chlorella easily throughout the day. This is much easier than having to get spoonsful and put them into a juice. You can just take the tablets throughout the day. But I also follow Skip's Supercharge Your Life 10 Commandments of Health, which are very energizing and alkalizing. I'm also going to send you a link to this. So if you can start off your day with a good vegetable juice with chlorella and take chlorella tablets throughout the day, that will be very alkalizing. Cut out stimulants such as coffee and tea. Once the body has detoxified from all the garbage, this need for caffeine does go away. This is not only healthy, but it's also easier on your budget. After a long night's sleep, your body is often dehydrated and craving nutrients. Drinking some water with freshly squeezed lemon juice is highly alkalizing and nourishing for the body. Just chop one up and create a really highly alkalizing beverage and drink them throughout the day if you can. It's very alkalizing. Lastly, you may be wondering how to keep the body alkaline whilst also getting in lots of protein every day. Well, there are alkaline sources of protein, including tofu and lentils, certain nuts like almonds and Brazil nuts, and certain grains like quinoa and spelt. There are also some very good whole food supplements that are very high in protein, but do keep natural and organic if possible. I recommend Skip's protein supplements to all my clients and use them myself. They're very natural, organic, and they really are the real deal. Get them from his website, skiparchimedes.com. Again, I'll be sending you the link to all of this. So in the end, I hope this webinar has helped you understand the crucial importance of your body's pH balance. I also hope that it's sparked your interest in cleaning up your diet and really paying attention to what your body needs. Make a few small additions or changes to your diet and you're bound to see some incredible changes over the long term. So this has really just been an introduction, but I can send you a lot more information about all aspects of health. We have a Facebook page, Alkaline Life, and also Live Blood London. Again, I'll be sending you the link. We also have a newsletter that we send out every week, which is full of lots of information about all aspects of health. And finally, this is where you get your pH strips from valuemed.co.uk. Again, I'll be sending you links to that as well. If you have any questions after this webinar, please send them in to us at info@livebloodlondon.com. I'll be really glad to help you to answer anything. And thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for joining and look forward to your questions. Thank you, and bye for now.